Authentic, important conversations help us understand life and relationships better and make us feel connected. Those connections build a community where you belong because your contributions matter. That's why Shelley and Toby are bringing you news and views. Join us to explore ideas, news, opinions, experiences, and real-life stories. Live on Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Come chat about life with your friends.
So I'm doing this live just because it's the easiest thing to do for me, rather than make a recording and have to upload it. I wanted to, with the help of some other people, I wanted to add some additional insight that I got from them to what I was talking about last night. So the first person I want to thank is Jamie McCracken, because he did post the motion that was heard today. And as a result of the judge hearing that motion, he denied it. Now, he will write another motion indicating that it's been denied, and hopefully that will be in the document list that I collect tomorrow. So I'm sorry, I didn't say any of that correctly. He didn't deny the motion to continue. He approved the motion to continue. So they won't be deposing Jack until next week. I'm gonna have to look at the date. Let me see, till May 31st. All right, is that correct? So so he went ahead with it. So he did not deny it. Wow, that's a really bad start to this, because I didn't want to do that. But I do want to thank Harry for that, for uploading that, and I do want to cover some other material here. So I'm going to share my screen. So this is the original motion that was filed by Carl Summers to extend the discovery deadline. And that was heard today. And I heard it was at 11 o'clock. I was not in there, meaning I did not dial in to listen to it because I was busy with something else. So it was heard, and the motion allowed the discovery portion to continue. So Summer got what he wanted about it. Oh, I know where that was said. So in Harry's, he said it didn't happen today. So this is Harry's forum, Harry's Chase forum, which is Harry and Jamie McCracken are the same person. So so the judge did approve the motion. They are delaying the deposition until the 31st. So we'll have to wait till then. And some other things could happen in between now and then. So that's the first thing I want to correct. And that I got from McCracken's forum, or Harry's forum, which is McCracken. He also said a couple of other things which I thought were interesting. He talked about what he's going to do when he gets the chance to depose Jack, but he was answering a question that Goldilocks had asked in the Hint of Riches. And he said, in my discovery, I asked for all legal agreements between Jack and Forrest Fenn. They responded, meaning Jack's attorney responded, and perhaps even Carl Summer, because he would be involved because he's the Fenn Estates attorney. They responded only one existed, meaning only one legal agreement existed, and that was the Joint Defense Agreement, or JDA, the claimed attorney-client privilege. So it was denied it, meaning he wasn't allowed to see it, and attorney-client privilege would be an accurate way to describe it. Harry says, I believe there was an NDA between Forrest Fenn and Jack and a third party like Yellowstone or DOI, Department of Interior. Then they would have had to disclose that too. So and I think his assumption is correct in this case. If there was more than a joint defense agreement, they would have had to disclose that there was a second degree, or third or fourth. There was more than one agreement, and they would have had to at least say that the agreements existed, but they would claim attorney-client privilege again. So that was from Harry. So I want to go back to this because I got some additional information from people that commented on the video, sent me emails, and posted in other forums. And that includes Jeremy P., who provided the information that I'm about to share with you now, and Mike S., who sent me some information regarding the office of the solicitor. So I hypothesized this last night. So this is from Mike S. Did I say Mike? Jeremy P. and Mike S. Yeah. So Mike went and did the research and found that there is an office of the solicitor in the Department of Interior, and these are its responsibilities. And again, I remain confused. I don't know where this fits into the probate case and Jack's deposition. An emphasis on high ethical standards, excellence in public service, and the delivery of superlative advice and counsel. Our office performs the legal work for the United States Department of the Interior and manages the departmental ethics office and departmental FOIA office. So maybe that's how they got wind of all of this was happening. There were people submitting FOIA requests to have certain information released, which would be interesting because that I think then there's a 50-50 probability that these attorneys in the Department of Interior Office of the Solicitor may also know the location of the treasure. And that, again, makes sense that they would call Attorney Nasco. Attorney Nasco is Jack's attorney. Call him and have this out with him. Now, I still don't think there was a threat any place in this document. There was, as a result, I respectfully request that you continue the deposition scheduled for tomorrow to allow sufficient time for me to file a motion for a protective order prohibiting testimony concerning the location of the found treasure. And his logic for that is that the reference, the government is justifiably concerned about the disclosure of the location of the found treasure through compelled deposition of my client. The resulting potential for damages to government property is, and it gives that reference authority implicates potential criminal responsibility. Now, when I say something, if I were to send you a letter and say, I just read the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, and I think it covers my freedom to not tell you how many guns, the numbers of all the guns that I own. Now, I'm not threatening you. I'm just basically informing you that I discovered this, or I was informed of this. My attorney told me about it. And I think that's what's happened here. I still don't see the threat. But Jeremy P. on the Hint of Riches forum went through I want to go back to the office of the solicitor. So Mike sent me this, and I don't remember if he sent me the organizational structure or not, but this is the organizational structure, the solicitor, and this is all Department of Interior. I'm going to restate that the Office of the Solicitor General of the United States doesn't deal with these cases. The only way they would, quote, deal with the case is if this case made it towards the Supreme Court, and they would have to be informed that they might have to defend the government against this case. They would not get into this case and start involving their attorneys with it. So the Office of the Solicitor General is still a little bit different. The funny thing about this Office of the Solicitor with the DOI is it sounds like an IG's office, an Inspector General's office, more than it does a solicitor's office. So the current solicitor is Robert Anderson, and as the deputy solicitor's immediate off of the solicitors, there's one here for deputy solicitor land resources, who's Natalie Landreth. So maybe the conversation was with her. But there is definitely something in the Department of the Interior that one could say is the Office of the Solicitor. So I take that part back. But I do kind of want to stick with me the difference between this Office of the Solicitor and the Office of the Solicitor General of the United States. Completely different, two different things with two different sets of responsibilities. Okay, so then Jeremy wrote, and basically Jeremy agreed with half of what I said about the citations. So I said I thought this citation here, the one that he wrote as 751, I thought should be 721, and the mistake was in the lettering. Jeremy I don't want to say he disagreed. He just presented an alternative opinion, and I thought it was a good opinion. That's why I'm kind of following up on this. He said it was USC US Code 100751, and it does refer to 36 CFR 20. And he did agree with me that this zero should be a dot, 20.31, paragraph A, subparagraph 3. And then he included this kind of logic of following along, and here's his logic. So if you go to CFR, Code of Federal Regulations, that's the code of regulations that deals with trespassing, tampering, and vandalism. Now, again, I'm of the opinion that we should go back to CFR 36 CFR 2.22, which deals with abandoning property and not reporting the recovery of that property to the superintendent. That still seems more logical to me. But let's just go with what's being said in the document that was written by Mr. Nasco, the email that was written by Mr. Nasco. So he looks at that, and then he looks at how those are supported by the law. So remember, these are regulations. CFR is Code of Federal Regulations. USC is laws, laws that have gone through the congressional process and eventually signed by the president. So in here, he wanted to refer to the US Code 751. And so when I saw the boating thing in general, I thought, why does it this? And this is what he presented. I think he basically said, I think he's right about 751. And I think the reason he's right about it is because down here in paragraph C, it has criminal penalties. And then it tells you where you can find those criminal penalties. And he goes through to 18 code, U.S. Code, and again, U.S. Code or laws, 1865 National Park Services. And it says, if you commit a crime against these regulations that you showed you earlier, violation of regulations relating to use and management of National Park System units, a person that violates any regulation authorized by this section 100751 of Title 54 shall be imprisoned for no more than 6 months, fined under this title or both, and adjudged to pay all costs of the proceedings. So that's, and let me go down here because he also refers to this. Let me make sure he does. So I think as Jeremy went through, and that's why it's important to have a lawyer supporting you with all this stuff, because you could read one code or one regulation, and if you don't follow through with all the all the referrals down below, you could get yourself in trouble for not understanding. So I don't feel like I got myself in trouble because I'm not got. So here's the code. It says you can be imprisoned by not more than 6 months under this title or both, fined and or imprisoned. And the penalties are a person convicted violating this provision of the regulations contained in 1 through 7, 9, subpart B, parts 12 and 13 of this chapter are subject to the criminal, I did that reverse, so are subject to these criminal penalties. So Jeremy followed that down very nicely and kind of the logic and order of it. And I agree. So I agree with Jeremy that this is what the attorney was trying to say, what Attorney Nasco was trying to say. I don't agree with the use of 2.33 or US Code, the basis 2.31, which is trespassing, versus, let me go back here, 2.22, which is the one that covers property, abandonment here, and failing to turn it into so one covers, the 2.31 is the one that covers damages, trespassing, causing damages in the park area or private land that's covered by it, versus the abandoning of property or failing to turn the found property to the superintendent. So I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of those because those are corrections. I was also wrong. I didn't think he was going to allow I didn't think the judge was going to allow the continuation. He did allow the continuation. So the deposition is now on May 31st. That gives Attorney Nasco the time to get a protective order so that Tom doesn't have to reveal any additional information above and beyond that it was in Wyoming. I don't know. And the claim he could make, oh, that's interesting. he could say, I need to protect my client from revealing this information because I've got a threat from the Department of Interior that if he reveals the information, he would he would suffer these criminal penalties. Now, that email doesn't quite say that, but maybe that's the case they're going to try to make. And now he has the time to pursue that. So he could file a protective order basically saying, I'm protecting my client from the government by saying he's not going to reveal any additional information. And because if he does, he's going to be punished by the government. So interesting case to make. So, and that all has to happen before May 31st, before the deposition takes place. So to ensure that Jack is not forced to reveal what he doesn't want to reveal. It isn't that if he has that, then he doesn't have to claim the fifth, and not that he could claim the fifth anyway. He doesn't. UPS just brought a present to my door. Not that he could claim the fifth anyway in a civil case. But it means that no matter what Mr. McCracken asks him, he can only answer what is known publicly. That is, Fenn hid the treasure and Jack found the treasure in Wyoming. So I don't think we're going to get any additional information. So we can still all have our theories about where it was located, because that's what it's good to have theories. That way there's some kind of theoretical, if there's theories, there's theoretical competition. So I will go up. This motion was filed this morning. It was in the case docket this morning, but there was no resolution in it. So there's going to be something filed by the judge saying that he allowed it to go forward. And there are probably some other, we'll probably see McCracken's counter motion to this, which didn't do any good, but those all kind of will take place overnight. They'll be put in the case docket tomorrow morning. And if there's more than one, we already have the one, which is what we're looking at right now. If there are more than one, I'll go down and pick them up and we can talk about it on Saturday, talk about them on Saturday and see what additional things there are to be discussed. Okay. Thanks for joining me. And like I said, I'm updating this to correct what I said last night and to eat crow over predicting that the judge would disallow the request for continuing. Because I was wrong about that. See, I'm right about always being wrong. So you shouldn't take my advice. Okay. Oops. I got a comment. Let me make sure I take care of that. Shatsi says, thanks for the presentation. You're welcome. I don't know what I'm doing. It's like the middle of the afternoon and I need to go for my bike ride and I got to go do some drone shots and here I am making a live stream. So thanks for those of you that joined me. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it. Take care. I'll see you Saturday night, 7 p.m.